My husband, Julian, married his elder brother's widow, Cecilia, to secure his title, so I took Adele to the royal capital to find him. His widowed sister-in-law fed Adele poisoned cakes. Adele convulsed, then vomited black blood onto the carpet.
Julian! Save her! Please! Call a court physician for our daughter!
What madwoman is this, screaming in my castle? Beat them to death.
Adele and I died full of hatred. When I opened my eyes again, the gods had heard my curse and sent me back. My husband, Julian, married his elder brother's widow, Cecilia, to secure his title. My daughter Adele and I waited for him on a crumbling farm. A kind passerby warned me.
Julian has already been made count. Why are you still here?
So I took Adele to the royal capital to find him. But Cecilia, his widowed sister-in-law, fed Adele poisoned cakes. Adele convulsed, then vomited black blood onto the carpet. I screamed and lunged for her, cradling her as I wiped the poisoned blood from her lips. That was when Julian walked in.
Julian! Save her! Please! Call a court physician for our daughter!
I crawled toward him and clutched his boots, begging. Julian looked down at me, then slid an arm around Cecilia's waist.
What madwoman is this, screaming in my castle?
His voice was ice cold. He kicked my hand away in disgust.
Drag this woman and that little bastard outside the city. Beat them to death.
As the guards dragged me away, I heard Cecilia give a cold laugh.
Genevieve, if you stay alive, how can Julian and I rule this castle in peace?
The vows Julian had made were long forgotten. Adele and I died full of hatred. When I opened my eyes again, cold wind poured down my throat. I had not died in the hall of the Count's castle. The gods had heard my curse and sent me back to the day Julian was officially made Count. I threw away the wild berries in my hand and sold the farm. Then I carried Adele back to Anjou Castle and knelt, begging my father to forgive me.
Father, your daughter was wrong.
My father stood inside the drawbridge, watching me through an iron gate.
Are you sure this time? Genevieve, what makes me believe this isn't another whim?
Father, I won't run again.
You said that last time. You said Julian was the bravest knight you'd ever seen. You said he deserved your heart more than the man on the throne.
I said nothing. Those words were mine, every last one. In the end, father relented.
Come in. Stop embarrassing me at the gate.
I stood with Adele in my arms, my legs gone numb. Margaret, the housekeeper, hurried over to support me and said softly,
My lady, His Grace sent men to the Black Forest for years to look for you.
I froze. Margaret sighed, but the people there said you'd moved long ago. No one knew where you'd gone. The foyer hearth burned bright. Father sat in a high-backed chair.
Tell me, how did you live these past 5 years?
I stood before him while Margaret carried Adele to the side parlour. At first it was fine. Julian told me to wait for him at the farm. He sent silver every month. By the 4th month I was picking wild berries in the woods. Adele was born during a snowstorm. No one helped me. I cut the cord myself. 3 days after she was born, Julian's messenger came. He said Julian was working to inherit the title. He told me to wait a little longer. That little longer became 5 years. Do you know why he never came? Father opened his eyes. They were already red.
I know. He had to marry his widowed sister-in-law to inherit the title. Those people at the church granted him a dispensation. So what will you do now?
Father asked.
Do you want to accuse him of bigamy before the church? I can send someone with the papers, but think carefully. Once this becomes public, Adele will be dragged into it.
It could damage her reputation.
I cut him off. Julian has nothing. From start to finish, he has only an empty title and a mountain of debt. Father was silent for a while.
What did you ever see in him?
I closed my eyes. It was autumn, 6 years ago. I had gone hunting. A storm hit on the ride back. I was separated from my guards. Julian lay in the mud, one leg bent wrong. I had my guards carry him to a nearby farm. I splint his leg with branches and washed his wound with holy water. On the fourth morning, I opened the farmhouse door.
My name is Julian. I am the second son of the Count of the Eastern Border.
That was how Julia introduced himself. I stayed at the farm and cared for him for a month. The day he could walk, he limped into the yard. He saw me mounted, ready to return to Angor Castle.
Will you come back?
He said.
Maybe.
I said, looking down at him.
Then I'll wait for you here.
He said it, then tore a cord from his neck. A copper ring hung from it.
This isn't worth much, but it's been with me for 10 years. Take it when you come back.
I'll give it back.
I took the ring.
When you come back.
Julian smiled.
I'll tell you a secret.
After that, I went back every few days. One night, he suddenly said,
Genevieve, I want to marry you.
He came over and dropped to one knee.
I know I have no land and no title, but I swear I will love only you for the rest of my life. Count or beggar, you are my wife.
He held my hand and slid the copper ring back onto my finger. That night, we swore our vows before the farm statue of the gods. When he kissed me, I thought that was the end of the story.
So you believed him.
Father's voice pulled me back into the foyer.
I'll ask you one last time.
He came to stand before me, looking down.
Are you sure this time you won't climb the wall and run in the middle of the night?
I won't.
The voice was firm.
Good.
He turned and walked deeper into the foyer.
Tomorrow morning I'll send men to the church with a complaint accusing him of bigamy.
Father!
I stopped him.
I don't want it submitted privately.
He turned back, his eyes cold as ice.
What did you say?
I raised my head and met his eyes. I want the ruling, but I also want a public trial. I want him to admit, before the Queen Regent, that he abandoned his wife and daughter. Father stared at me for a long time. Then he smiled.
You are my daughter after all. When you turn ruthless, even I hardly recognize you.
I ordered Margaret to deliver a letter to a cloaked man. He was my father's best rumour runner, the sort who fed whispers into taverns. Adele had fallen asleep on the rug. Margaret brought in hot soup and lowered her voice.
My lady, people outside are saying Count Julian abandoned his first wife in the Black Forest to die, all for a title.
How far has it gone?
I lifted the soup and took a sip.
Now they say that after marrying his widowed sister-in-law, he sent men to the farm to silence you.
I want him sleepless.
I looked out into the night.
If he can still sleep, he won't panic. If he doesn't panic, he won't act.
In less than 5 days, the rumour filled every street in the capital. A lame old sailor slapped a table and said,
Have you heard about that new Count of the Eastern Border? He had a first wife, left her in the Black Forest to die.
Then came the fish market. A vendor gossiped.
I heard he wanted the title and his widowed sister-in-law, so he sent men to kill his own child.
Even in the saloons where nobles gathered, people murmured.
Count Julia, the one who built his fortune on his wife's dowry, then tossed her aside.
That's him. They say his first wife still has the marriage contract. If it reaches the church, he may lose everything.
Then why doesn't he bring her back?
Bring her back? He married his widowed sister-in-law. That's bigamy. The church won't spare him. Margaret brought these words back to me every day. That night, Father stood at the stairs of the East Tower, holding a cup of hot wine.
Using the rumours to force his hand.
He said,
You know the whole capital is talking, so he'll have to check whether you're truly dead.
Father took a sip of wine and watched me for a long time.
Genevieve, you're using your own life as bait.
Father, the fish was already bitten.
I smiled at him. Julian's captain of the guard took 5 men into that Black Forest farm at midnight. They broke down the door and searched every corner. They found no one. The captain set a fire and burned the whole cottage to ash. When he returned to the capital, Julia asked,
Did you see them die inside with your own eyes?
The captain said,
The fire was huge. Even if they weren't dead, they couldn't survive.
Julian took 30 gold coins from his purse and threw them on the table.
Go drink. Take this to your grave.
The captain seized the coins and left. The moment the door closed, Julian leaned back and let out a long breath. He smiled. These words came from an informant father had planted in the Count's kitchen. After I heard the report, I lifted Adele onto my lap.
Adele, would you like to go somewhere with lots of people and lots of good food?
Adele was gnawing a piece of dry bread. She looked up at me.
I want to go.
Julian was holding an autumn harvest feast. It was his celebration after being officially invested as Count of the Eastern Border. He meant to present Cecilia as Countess, so the capital could see who truly owned the castle. On the day of the feast, night fell early. I lifted one corner of the carriage curtain and glanced out. Margaret. After I go in, stay in the carriage with Adele.
My lady, you're going in alone?
Alone. I placed Adele in Margaret's arms. When I send someone for you, bring Adele inside. Remember, if anyone asks who you are, I pinched Adele's cheek. Say I am the Grand Duke of Anjou's granddaughter. I am looking for my mother. Margaret's lips moved, but in the end, she said nothing. I stepped down from the carriage. The doors to the banquet hall were shut tight. I raised my hand and knocked 3 times. No one answered. I knocked 3 more times. This time, the door cracked open. A butler poked his head out and looked me over.
The banquet has already begun, without an invitation.
I don't need an invitation.
I pushed back the hood of my cloak, revealing my whole face. The butler froze. His gaze moved from my face to my collar, then stopped on the golden lily.
You are?
Tell Count Julia, an old friend from the Black Forest has come to dine. The butler's face changed. He stumbled back, turned and ran into the hall. Nobles filled both sides of the long table. Goblets hung in midair. Forks hovered over plates. Every eye fixed on me. Then I saw Julian. He sat at the head of the long table, Cecilia on his left. When he recognized my face, his fork slipped from his hand and struck the silver plate. Color drained from his face, inch by inch. Cecilia screamed. The hall erupted.
Who is that woman? Why is she wearing Andam's lily? The Grand Duke of Andam's lily. Could she be Lady Genevieve? Wait. She said an old friend from the Black Forest. The first wife from the rumors?